as we start our demos, Mr. Wentz, we're going to start demos off immediately. Here's how demos will work. It'll be about 6 minutes per presentation.
Oh, it's going to be way faster.
I have an esteemed guest that will be judging. Silence, please! If you would like to continue to speak, please go downstairs. You guys are in trouble.
Okay, hello everyone. This is my first time doing hackathons, so I majorly messed up, and I was working on something that didn't turn out to be a good idea after all. At first, I wanted to come up with a learning method for medicinal chemists to identify whether a drug is promising or not, and to show them the molecules from real drugs and then molecules from fake drugs, and have something like Anki system with the card so they can learn which molecules are good or not. But after working on this several hours and actually finishing this thing, it turns out to be pretty boring. And it is not particularly something that anyone wants to look at.
It looks cool.
Thank you. But I decided to drop this thing, and in the last couple of hours, I had to come up with something quick, something that I can show. So I decided to come up with a very simplest thing. So, you know, I set the bar very low so that everyone can look very good. You're welcome. This is a little app that helps you to memorize words using mnemonics. And these mnemonics help you to memorize the words by coming up with a short story for a word and a short image. So I hooked up the ChatGPT to do this, and then I unexpectedly hit the limit. So it was another bump in my hackathon story today. And because I hit the limit, I couldn't make it automatic anymore. So I spent the last hour manually downloading image after image and creating a dictionary with all of the stories so that I have something to show. And unfortunately, I have a meeting within 15 minutes, and I would be running down the hill to Haight-Ashbury. So I'm going to show it right now, and I'm going to finish, and I'm going to run. So this is how it works. You see that you want to remember this word, and you want to learn this word. Do you know this word? Of course you don't. You click, I don't know this word, and it comes up with a little story that you have a building made of edible, delicious candy bricks, and it generates a little picture. You go to another one, and it generates, oh, it's horrible, let's do like this. It generates an image like this. You know, Zapata, what would it be? It would be boom, Zapata, it is zapping you, it is a shoe. You know, it is beautiful because you can, sombrero, what could be a sombrero? Sombrero is a very sad hat, it's somber, you know, it helps you to remember. You know, Mariposa is boring on. Come in, you know, the truck, come on, you know, look, it's even written here, come on, camion. You know, it helps you to remember. I don't speak Spanish, but I remember all of these words by working on this, so it's actually working. Mnemonics is magic. So you can look at the words, oh yeah, Estrella was a very good one. You know, tiburon, you know, a boa and a shark that is ballerina. I didn't check every single word, but some of them are funny, some of them are not funny. But, oh, pajama, I love this, a bird in pajamas. It is something that is also easy to remember. So this is a little app, and unfortunately, if I don't end up in 14 minutes in a meeting, it's going to end up really bad for me, so I need to run. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I need to run.
Awesome. Shorter letter. Vladimir Emil, you are up. Teach us how to read less and understand more. Inspired by Mark.
It's inspired by a bunch of dead white men. My favorite. I'm going to show the slides. I have a bunch of slides with James Joyce, Mark Twain, Chekhov, and yeah. The portrait of the artist was a young man. Read little, understood less. Why did he read little? Because most of the stuff that's written is kind of watered down, as Mark Twain told us. So if Mark Twain had more time, he would have written a shorter letter. Or if Mark Twain had AI, he would have written a shorter letter. Or, rather than reading a shorter letter, we can take the original text and help you understand it with less time and effort.
Yeah, so actually what did we do? We don't trust ChatGPT. First of all, like what ideas merged? First of all, we, or maybe I tried to build a lot of like tools for abstract people that I imagine could benefit from it. Never worked. So like for like in the past 2 years, I'm building only phone apps or tools or apps that I personally use, not some abstract, like it's like first idea. Second, I read a lot, and again, coming here and see this amazing library by Jeremy, at which I read at most like 1, 2, or maybe 3%, like reminded me that like I need to read more. Of course, password for this like our Wi-Fi that's called attention is all you need. So we merged these ideas and came up with things like this. So when we write code in the IDEs, you see there's a lot of coloring in like how like different like things are made. You see when you write some code, yeah? So the question is, can you do the same or something similar with like books or blog posts or things like this that we are reading in order to distribute our attention to things that require or more valuable from our attention? And we explored 2 ideas, that's why we have 3 of us, sure. Okay, so idea that I was mostly working on and it's not, and for Emils it worked better. So we created an app, web app, in which you download, in which it will start working. Okay, so you basically pass some URL here, some blog post, Medium works, some other static like works, dynamic node, you basically run it. And then, okay, let me enable all styles. And you get some kind of overloaded text. It's pretty like, I mean, kind of like hard to read, but what I try to see that there are like some things that are more important, like verbs that like show dynamics and nouns that like important, and less like stop words, a bit like hard to read, but still. I tried like for maybe 30 minutes here and there, and the best that I've seen so far, it's either this, and definitely changes way that I think like it grabs my attention for longer. Or even this less overloaded when you're more tired, it just probably like the best. It kind of like you read this, you flow through it, and your attention is attracted to more of these things. There is no AI, there's no these fancy things, but in some sense it proved to be valuable. I read like few like blog posts from Hacker News. That was one of the like things.
Is it inverse term frequency?
What?
Is it inverse term frequency?
No, it's much easier. You just like use some whatever space package. This is space word stop
Word
word.
vectors.
What?
Word vector.
You guys use Spacey, you said?
I use
Oh,
space.
Okay.
Yeah, so like no magic. And then we decided, okay, we still had time because we needed to show something. So it was a simple idea. Then more advanced with LLMs, things like this. That's what Emil will talk about.
Yeah. So we decided that we should throw some AI into the mix after all, and we know that AI is really good at summarizing documents, but again, we don't want to summarize a document. We want to show you the original just with the relevant parts highlighted. The way you could do that, though, is you can leverage the summarization to come up with essentially like a master vector, and for every sentence or some other chunk of text, you can essentially compute its affinity to the summarized word vector. What's nice about it is that it's very quick because you only need to summarize once and compare to just that one vector, and you can select your desired level of
Attention you want to.
attention that you want to apply. Do you want to?
Yeah, let me demonstrate.
Okay, okay,
So, for example, we have an article, How Not to Die, from August 2007. And if we pass it to our algorithm and set up the threshold around 0.9, you will see that the most significant in this text is that if your startup fail, you fail. And so we can adjust this threshold. For example, 6. Unfortunately, right now it works through LLM call once again, but it's fine.
It should be really quick. We're just not caching what we need to cache.
So one thing to note here, we don't skip this text. We still read it, but we rely on less attention when we are reading it. And the major pieces in this text will be in bold or more visible, basically. So yeah.
So yeah, basically that's it. And again, we did this because I would like to check it, maybe not tonight, but tomorrow, and all of us, and try to make it happen, better coloring and like things like this again. And again, code is like shared, publicly available. We share this Google Sheets. If you want to check to try to build on top of this, or give us feedback and we'll do something ourselves, you're welcome.
Okay.
There's another example.
Anyone have a
Questions?
no questions?
No questions?
Yeah, no, curious. So, in my mind, reading is about flow. How do I improve my flow? Via something like this?
This is a good question. I mean, I don't know how to do it. Originally, when we got ChatGPT, I had these ideas about, let me take author that I enjoy the flow of the language, let take me like book with a lot of fluff, and say, write me
As
this
the
fluffy
style of
book in
coloring.
this style.
Yeah.
Didn't check it, it was another idea to explore. It was probably more about the flow. Here, with this coloring, flow is a bit broken, but at the same time, we know that when we write code, you get into the flow phase. So there should be some sweet spot that should or could allow it to do with the books. Even this fragmented type of picture.
What's the algorithm for choosing the sentences? Like you change the rate and it chooses some, like how does it do that?
We summarize the text, all the text, not summarize, we say like give the essence, roughly half of the text, then we extract embedding from the summary, and we correlate every sentence with these embeddings. So of course sentences that are more related to the summary, they are more related.
What about the
That's very cool.
So we also have a framework that based on the book, which basically 10 rules of how you can shorten your text. And this is also used in the ChatGPT prompt or other LLM prompt to make this summary based on the 10 rules. It's not just a regular.
So yeah, we tweak prompt to make it more strong.
So, yeah, I guess 4 years ago, David Holtz, the CEO of Midjourney, presented something very similar. It's word vector to color. So every word is colored as a function of its word vector. The
Same
mapping-
spirit, yeah.
Yeah, so very interesting. Very interesting.
Okay,
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
That was the very thoughtful Sugar Letter. Up we have Miles presenting Empath.
Yeah, anyone wanna
Okay, up
I'm
we
just
have
like-
K-Ready
just sell
Activity,
issues? Yeah.
which created a wonderful YouTube video for us all to watch. I will let them reveal us. To be clear, Judge knows much of it in comparison with anyone else.
Yes. This is ours because Alex had to leave, but maybe the video on Sonic is the highest quality. If we just flip this.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize you the slide.
Did both.
This one?
Yeah, that one. It's better. Yeah.
Kids ready for kindergarten.
Press it down for 3 minutes. That's good. Okay.
Hi, I'm Alex, the co-founder of K-Ready. K-Ready is designed to help parents get their kids ready for kindergarten. We're specifically targeting parents with children aged 3 to 5, and we begin by giving the parent an assessment, a screener, that they can send, that they can have their child take, and then based on those results, we provide tailored activities that are generated with AI that they can do with their children to help them get kindergarten ready.
Hi, my name is Paul Scheid, and I'm the founder of Miller. We've created an adaptive platform that allows you to create different kinds of training materials and other documentation, serve it to users, have the interactions be enabled with AI over that content, and then forward it to collaborators, mentors, specialists, etc. And we've combined forces with K-Ready to extend our platform and show a demo with their content and knowledge base. Every parent gets a login, which you see here. If you click on a specific screen and test on the left, you can see that there are questions for parents to go over with their kids. So this has 5 questions. The first one is about alphabet knowledge. A parent might show this to their student and ask their child and ask, can your child name this letter? And if the child says, yes,
J.
it's an uppercase J, you would click yes and you would send it to the AI. And clearly, because this child is not having a deficiency in this area, the AI is telling the parent to move on to the next question.
For the next question here, similar question, except now we're testing for the lowercase letter of Q. And in this case, the child doesn't know that the answer is Q, so here we would say no. Next, we're going to send this to the AI, and here, where the AI is providing an activity called the sound scavenger hunt. And really what we're going to do is find household items around the house that start with the letter Q, and then really the parent can start doing this activity with their child in real time to really help them with whatever deficiency that they're having. In this case, it's they don't know this letter, but right now we're going to practice those sounds.
Great. And then the parent can, after they've completed activity with the child, can let the AI know exactly how that went. So, for example,
in this case, after we went over the different examples, we saw quilts, we saw quizzes, we saw other words that started with Q. We say, hey, thanks, my child did well with this letter. My child did well with these activities. What are some next steps?
So you'd say, my child did well. What are some next steps for other activities? There's a follow-up activity, letter Q, so it's more practice. You could continue doing this with your child, and if they potentially had like a specialist, or you wanted to share this with a teacher or something like that, you could invite them to join this screening test, and you could click this forward to collaborate button, and you could say, here is my child's results. Post it to collaborate, and now anybody who's invited, a specialist, a clinician, a teacher, can have access to this and can review it. And then another example of a different question type might be, a print knowledge question where the child is asked to assess an image of this book cover and asked if they can point to the author's name. Let's say, no, send that to the AI.
And here we have a different activity known as story sequencing. So we want to provide the child with a number of images and see if they can put them in the correct order. Right now, they're not in the correct order. It starts with an elephant that is sleeping, next an elephant that is walking along the river, and a final picture of an elephant that's playing in the river. In this case, the child can try to reorganize these while the parent reads out what is happening slowly with the child to help work on this skill, specifically print knowledge, where they can read images and detect what is going on.
So in combination with being able to take these screeners, working with the child, and then be able to interact with other specialists that you might be working with, or teachers, this is a great way to help make sure that parents have prepared their child for kindergarten and that they're in the state of readiness.
Yeah, and the goal is to use this activity for 5 to 10 minutes a day, and then the parents can do this on a daily basis. Thank you for seeing our demo.
Thank you very much.
Any questions for this?
Well, how much would it take to change this for different grade levels?
How much ever?
Yeah.
it's the process, or I think very little effort. So in the back, there's like a lang chain layer, and we also use Dispy, and you could change, like, it just says the age level of 3 to 5 right now, but we could change it. Cool. Yeah. Probably. Yeah.
Miles, are you ready? Or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. That was K-Ready activity. Now we have Miles with the empath bot. He's going to give us perspective learning by downloading and uploading perspectives via stories.
Yeah. So I was just trying to get audio working on Vercel, which is a different file system. But I mean, it really doesn't matter. Okay, why is this? No, I didn't mean this. Why is this so? Do you know?
Insight Viz, you are on deck.
Is that gonna work? Okay. Okay. Hopefully this isn't too blurry. Yeah. Okay. Is this a mic? No. Okay. This is empath.bot. So you guys can go to this URL right now, and there's no login or anything. It works on your phone. I spent way too much time. Well, no, I spent the right amount of time because it's cool. Okay. You see my nice UI here. And yeah, it's all very local storage, and there's a database that's hosted on Vercel. So you can see my uploads, and I can do a new upload. So we can demo that. And yeah, this does have Deep Graham voice, but unfortunately it's temporarily not working. But yeah, I mean, I could show you what it's like to upload a perspective. Anyone have some? I don't know, yeah, anything. Volunteer.
Tap water is better than bubbly water.
Oh, really? Okay. That's a really hot take. So then it's going to ask, can you share a story or experience that shaped this belief for you?
Why'd you do that? Sorry?
Can you share a story or experience that shaped this belief?
Sometimes I judge people who drink bubbly water.
Okay, I mean, look, so it's going to try to kind of download this perspective.
This is great.
But we can also see, yeah, the download section, and
Passion for LaCroix.
Passion for LaCroix, yeah, this is one that we can kind of look at. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, there's also, these are some I made. This one I think is pretty low data. Here's I think this is probably most interesting. Yeah, are we ready? Let's say yes. Let's see. Okay, so then it'll, yeah, again, it'd be nice if there was audio, but it'll tell you this story now to kind of this is something I put in. This is great, let's dive into the story. You find yourself sitting in your living room scrolling through your favorite podcast app. It's been a long day and you're looking for something interesting to listen to. Come across an episode featuring Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist whose insights have always intrigued you. The episode title catches your eye, The Hidden Dangers in Your Tap Water. Curious, you hit play. As you listen, Andrew begins to discuss the presence of microplastics and fluoride in tap water. He explains how microplastics, tiny particles of plastic that have been broken down from larger pieces, can find their way into our water supply. These particles, he says, can have various negative effects on our health, including potential hormonal disruptions. You lean in closer, feeling a mix of concern and curiosity. Andrew then delves into the topic of fluoride. He shares studies indicating that even the levels of fluoride considered safe by government standards can have adverse hormonal impacts. This revelation hits you hard. You had always trusted that the water coming from your tap was safe, but now you're beginning to question that assumption. As the episode continues, Andrew provides more evidence and anecdotes, painting a vivid picture of the potential risks. You start to feel growing unease. The idea that you might be unknowingly consuming harmful substances every time you take a sip of water is unsettling. After the episode ends, you sit in silence for a moment, processing the information. You realize that you don't want to be putting these chemicals into your body. The thought of microplastic fluoride affecting your health is too much to ignore. Determined to take action, you decide to invest in a water bottle with a filter straw. do some research and find one that promises to remove a significant amount of contaminants, including microplastic fluoride. Right. So you see how it kind of goes on, and we can see, other like.
I want to see the love of LaCroix.
Okay, let's do love of LaCroix. Where is
Love
that?
for
Passion for LaCroix.
And what if you're not ready?
Okay, you find yourself in the middle of a warm, bustling summer day. See, anyway, okay, does anyone not enjoy LaCroix here? Raise your hand. Don't be ashamed. You don't, okay. But read the story. You will go to empath.bot.com, go to download, okay, hit Passion for LaCroix. This is totally available. And you can understand the perspective of someone who likes LaCroix. It's a bustling summer day, the sun is high in the sky, casting a warm golden glow everything it touches, right? So, I didn't say anything about this, right? But it's providing this really rich kind of empathy download. Yeah, hopefully we have some more LaCroix. But yeah, I really encourage you guys to just check this out. It's I don't know, I think it's pretty fun. It's totally public, all that. Yeah. Any questions?
Who's today's sponsor?
I was
Today? I guess LaCroix. Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, I love the different perspectives. It's amazing. Like your mind is changing while reading these. So that part is amazing. I am a little concerned just in this specific example. For example, LaCroix has lots of microplastics in it. Just saying, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. How do you think about like people absorbing stories that are not? They were quite convincing. In fact, they're very convincing because they hit you right where you feel.
Well, I didn't actually know that, but I think I think we have to embrace the fact that there's going to be conflicting narratives on this platform. For example, even the tap water versus the microplastics thing.
Yeah, I think the concept is amazing. I think a
like
little bit more of like fact checking could be interesting. But I agree. Like the change of perspective is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's kind of. Thank you.
That was empath.
That was great.
Next, we give you Insight This. Learning from data via code generation for data set and visualization. Okay, and I guess for our performance, we request someone in the audience that has any data worth visualizing. Would you like to come forward?
I have a data worth visualizing.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So.
Is it in a CSV by any chance?
Yeah, it's a CSV.
Oh, perfect.
I have a bunch of CSVs.
Okay, great. So yeah, go to insightviz.xyz and I'll tell you when you're ready. Okay, so I guess first and foremost, I would like to invite all of you to participate in a public conversation.
Underscore. Debate.
Mitchell S.
Okay.
Insight.
Alright, so we just launched publicly, by the way. Hopefully everyone doesn't break our tool. So I just dropped our tweet in Slack. So if you have thoughts while you're watching our presentation, you just leave them as replies to the tweet and be part of the public conversation about Insight This. But yeah, we're gonna have a customer hit it up. So we can plug in. Great.
10,000 rows. What?
Yeah, good one.
Entity is too large. Okay.
Oh well, find someone.
Okay.
Yeah,
2,000.
Yeah.
Sure.
That was
You can
good.
find-
How big is this? 10,000?
10,000 doesn't work.
Oh, it's a gig.
Put it on.
Oh, there's a space, yeah.
No, it's a file up limit.
Oh, I see what you
Yeah.
mean. Okay, but here's the idea. So Vlad here is going to
Thank you.
basically demo the use of insight visualization. So he has a CSV, which has some data of interest. As former Kaggle Grandmaster, plausibly he's trying to win his latest Kaggle competition, and he wants some insight into the data that he's working with. So it's a really simple interface. You just upload the CSV. Oh, tragic. Maybe his row count is like very high.
Okay, 10,000 rows.
Maybe it's a row issue.
No, just,
31
I've been
columns.
testing 1,000 rows over and over. I don't know
Yeah.
what is going on.
I guess I'll have to demo it, unfortunately.
Okay, you should then.
Apologies, live with demos, man. Sorry, guys. So you just put insight viz .xyz. I choose a file. In this case, I'll upload the AI accelerated learning CSV, which has just data about people who decided to come to the hackathon, and I'll hit upload. So basically, what it's doing is in real time, it's creating visualizations, and it is basically plugged into a code generation process. So it will go through a vast array of distinct prompts for generating novel visualizations as a function of the data. So to give you an insight into it, this is our route set. We have this huge prompt list, creating stacked area charts, creating bump charts, creating tree maps, and these prompts are being fed to a code interpreter process that we keep in this visualization file. So basically, there's what's called the assistance API, and so we can basically call what we're describing as an autonomous research agent in order to create high quality visualizations. So we're feeding these prompts to this code generation process, which is going to return responses that contain photographs. And for every user session, we basically dump data in here. And so as it goes, it basically is going to continually be reading from that data source. And so we can see, even seconds ago, someone on the internet is using this. Okay, I'm not sure what session this is. But basically, you can see all of the users who have been creating sessions in the last, oh my god, you guys are
Yeah.
So 6 users in the last 3
Victims of our own success.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Who are basically creating their own visualizations via the Insight Visualizer. And hopefully this one comes through.
Why don't you open a previous example
Sure.
using the session ID?
So just make sure. Sorry. Yeah, so it's got some.
Just change the URL and they can see what it's supposed to look like.
Well, I'll leave this one running just in case it starts to populate. So it populates in real time, to be clear. But this is sort of
I can speak about this data set. It's actually pretty cool. It's a data set of forest fires in a park in Portugal, and it's a public data set and actually has 1,000 rows. So I have no idea. I would really like to try yours again. But yeah, it does these graphs on itself. So automatically, if you look at this, you can see that there's way more forest fires in the summer than there's 0 in November and 0 in January. We didn't create these. We just said create all the graphs you can, and it just keeps creating different ones. And looking through them, you often find great insights that you just wouldn't even have thought of, because it's just creating a huge range of beautiful graphs quite intelligently. And we think it's going to be a really important part of scientific research going forward, because one of the hardest parts, maybe Mitchell can talk about data visualization since he knows he's a data scientist.
Yeah.
What's the normal process?
Yeah, the normal process is exploratory data analysis. So you just try to figure out what does the data look like, the distribution. So a lot of these are just kind of the early stages, and I think that was the main goal of this, is just having the EDA or exploratory data analysis piece. And so yeah, start with the distribution, and then from here, the kind of next stage, once you know kind of what the data looks like and how it's shaped, then you can start adding in more maybe a model, or trying to have what are the most important predictors, what are the things that you want to predict. And this one I talked about burned areas, so that would be a particular kind of predicted value that we would be interested in, and what are the variables that make for a particularly nasty fire or smaller, and then from those insights, then you can then take action on those. Hence the insight and giving you power to do something.
Yeah, any questions? Go ahead.
How does it decide which graphs to create?
Oh, we went through a bunch of iterations. So actually there's another branch that didn't work out. We actually had it create the list of prompts intelligently, and that actually worked really well, but it was just taking too much time. For now, we're using the top 8, but we've also tried a random sample, and they're all quite interesting, if that makes sense.
Top 8, so means...
My favorite process actually would be where we ask Code Interpreter to come up with a series of prompts and explain why they're useful. Like it looks at the data, aggregates the data, and then generates the prompts. And we did get that working in another branch. But the final branch, for simplicity, we're just picking 8 of this long list. But that approach is fine. Both approaches are good. This is really good for like a broad coverage. And in that one, it's really smart. It comes up with like all these, yeah.
The CSV file that you're uploading, is it just any CSV file?
Any CSV, yeah.
There's no,
And you can put
column
information about it in the prompt, like what the columns mean or any kind of guideline you want to give. But yeah, even if you just upload the CSV, it'll just start drawing. And it's been told to like try to figure it out.
Neat.
Yeah. And again, another thing we thought of that in the future we could do is that actually you can have it look up other data, like industry benchmarks or whatever, right? If you're uploading like how long does my program take to run, it might look up other programs. So you could really do some amazing, it's a whole new way of really analyzing data, the paradigm.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, one last one.
I mean, it's not like showing this chart, but it's still listening.
That was Insight Viz. Collab learning. We're up. Teach us how to create online classroom bots for collaborative learning. Margarita, you are on deck. How'd you come?
Hi everybody, I'm Bunsney.
I'm Jeff.
And we created something that's totally not dystopic, not at all. Earlier this morning we talked to a friend of mine who's a teacher, and here's some of the things that we learned. She was talking about how sometimes there are students that are left behind a little bit in certain topics, or just like they can't go to school for a year or so. And teachers don't really have the time and resources to spend that one-on-one time coaching them to catch up. And the main thing she said that's really stuck with me is, I just wish we had more time, right? These students that are behind need extra time to catch up to their peers. They're discouraged when their peers are too far ahead in learning, and they just feel lonely and isolated if they're trying to train by completing video tutorials on their own. And we were also thinking about how we all learn more when we're in a classroom with other folks that are asking questions. And so we came up with the concept, and I think Jeff can talk more about that and the architecture.
Do you want to show like the video, like the, not the video, but like the
Oh yeah,
image,
like,
right?
yes.
Oh, I can explain it.
Yeah.
So basically, like the idea is, this is like on a Discord interface, but it could be like any like video platform tool, where this is me, and I'm like the student in this classroom. But everybody else in this classroom, or like at least 2 of them are bots, and then 1 of them is a teacher, and you're all learning some same topic that maybe you missed out on, maybe you were planning to learn alone on Khan Academy or on YouTube. And it's nice because sometimes I'm not confident in my like ability to understand a topic, or like I don't have a question right at hand. Maybe the bots can ask questions about the topic, get like my the gears in my brain going, so that if I'm missing something, you know, like I'll learn about it, and like the professor can interject at any time. And yeah, the idea is that it's both like an audio interface, and also if we can get avatars working, then like avatars also show up, and then you're doing an audio and video feed. Yeah. So I'll explain how it works, and then we'll show a demo. So I was trying to get Zoom API to work this morning, and I used like a service called Recall, and they stole $50 from me, and their thing didn't work. So I switched to Discord, very similar, and doing speech to text using Gladia, and then using OpenAI API to give it a persona, like a description of like what a 6th grade child could be like, and like, you know, even their interests and like some of their hobbies, so that you could also ask them about like other curious things in the classroom. And then a prompt that guides everything, and then your message chain for each bot. And then it goes to like text to speech, and then HeyGen if you wanted to do an avatar, back to the Discord API.
And I did some fun ideation, just thinking through the topic, the personas, a little bit of the framework, and helping out with just like assorted design stuff. And yeah, it was really fun to do. Here is a video demo.
Oh. So this is built out as like a Discord bot that you could just install into your server. And I guess the idea would be that like you'd use a Zoom API and build like a Zoom bot and just get bots onto any of your meetings.
No.
Hi everybody, today we're going to talk about the Age of Discovery, which was a period of discovery between the 15th century to the 17th century, initiated primarily by European powers like Portugal and Spain. It was a pivotal era of global exploration. You may have heard of explorers like Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and Magellan embark on voyages across uncharted oceans to, lead to the discovery of the Americas, through routes to Asia, and profound impacts on indigenous
Why did Portugal and Spain want to explore so much? Was it like when we raced to get the best seats in the cafeteria?
Great question. Yeah, they wanted to be the first to discover new parts of the world. They wanted to find new sea routes to Asia and find spices, other luxury goods, spread Christianity, and expand their political and economic influence. Does that make sense? Are there any other questions?
Why did Portugal and Spain lead the Age of Discovery and not other countries? Are we like the Portugal of video games because we have Silicon Valley?
That's really interesting. Well, the European countries definitely had advancements in navigation, shipbuilding, cartography, and then innovations like the compass, the echelon, and parallel ship design that allowed them to travel further and more safely across open seas.
Yeah, we told them they were San Francisco.
One thing, if you talked to me in the past hour, I mentioned that there was a bug in this code. One thing I wanted to mention is that Discord showed only like one user as a bot, but there were actually 3 on the voice channel. It just didn't like appear that way. But yeah, so like the idea is in its core that there are multiple bots that you are interacting with, and they're all playing off of each other. They're asking each other questions, they're asking you questions, and the professor questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Where does it get the cool perspectives from? Like, was it just like from like how does it know talk about like Portugal and video games and like?
So it doesn't know how to talk about like. We didn't feed it any information about what topic we're going to teach it.
Yeah.
That was started from like the professor like talking about the topic in the beginning, but it was like prompt engineering to be like, oh, imagine you're a 6th grader. Like, what are you interested in? Here's your persona. You're from Huntington Beach. You have blonde hair, stuff like that.
You nailed it. That was
great.
hilarious.
Thank you. Thank
That
you.
you did exactly what you wanted to do. That got my head spinning. Cool, man.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. That intimate 60-year-old brilliance was from Collab Learning. Now we have EduTalk by Margarita. On deck is the AI debate assistant.
Okay, hey y'all, who wants to learn something new this year? And who spends a decent amount of time watching some form of short form video every single week? Yeah, I think most of people, or maybe YouTube, maybe Twitter, short form text, all the same thing. We all want to learn, but what are we actually doing? We're scrolling on our phones. The future of education is definitely in the short form as our attention span gets smaller and smaller. And we're seeing that young people spend more time on TikTok and actually go to TikTok search often more before they go to Google search when they're looking for how to do something. That's why we created EduTalk. We're going live on edutalk.ai. We're still on our Vercel app. You can go try it out right now. The full deployment process is working. but we're generating educational TikTok videos. So let me show you. Okay, so the way we do this is we create a pipeline, and unfortunately my teammate Carlos couldn't come here to present, but he did the back end portion of this. So the actual video generation pipeline, that was Carlos, and basically you're creating this pipeline of creating images using DALL-E, using 11 labs for the voice, and then putting it all together with FMPEG. So let's generate a live video together. It might take a couple minutes, so we'll generate it. Hopefully by the end of the demo, it'll show up. I'll show you guys the pre-made one in the meantime. Does anyone want to learn anything very specific today?
How to play the guitar. Sorry.
Cool.
We were talking about that earlier.
Also how to play bongo.
How the bongos, yeah.
Okay, I'm guessing we're gonna do English, but it also works in Spanish. Actually, this tool was originally built in Spanish in the earlier versions of it.
This guitar is
Oh, thank you. Okay, so let's generate that. The reason I have this open is because we don't have a loader yet. This is the only way I know that it's actually going through. But it looks like it is hitting our endpoint and it's going through. It's gonna keep saying not ready until it says ready, and then the video will download on my screen. While that's happening, let's just watch a pre-made video. And we made a bunch. I put some of them on our homepage here, but we could watch this one I generated.
All right. Yeah, we're here to present AI Debate Assistant. In the spirit of AI for EdTech, we thought it'd be really cool to build this debate assistant. Our big value add is that we want to make debate prep accessible through AI. So the reason why we want to use AI is because debate is currently an exclusive curriculum. This is particularly true in very competitive places like the Bay Area, where I went to high school. I did debate in high school, and I got the privilege of having sort of this well-funded debate program. However, kids who went to, let's say, less sort of well-off schools did not have the privilege of having good debate programs. And particularly, these high school students in this exclusive program go and spend even more money going to these expensive debate camps to go and optimize their speeches, but those cost tens of thousands of dollars. But this is a sort of great way to get into college, and we want to level the playing field for everybody. And we think AI is a great way to do so. That's why for this hackathon, we created IDA. It levels the playing field by allowing any student with internet access to have a personalized AI debate assistant. But that's enough speaking about it. We think that the meat is in the demo, and so we're gonna give you a live demo on how we can do this real-time AI debate assistant.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to show you our AI debate coach here. I'm going to present one side of a debate, and then it's going to respond, so I can get the experience of being debating with another debater and hearing what counter arguments might be like. I stand here and affirm the following resolution. Resolved. The United States ought to substantially reduce its military presence in the North Africa region. My core value is justice, defined as the quality of being fair and reasonable. My first contention declares that granting the nation the right to national sovereignty should be the greatest priority. My second contention states that the American military presence infringes on Middle Eastern national sovereignty. My third contention proves that removing military presence will benefit the Middle East without infringing on national sovereignty. In conclusion, please vote affirmative to ensure the liberty that created the United States is upheld for other nations, allowing nations in West Asia and North Africa to decide for themselves how they will shape their countries for the better. So you can see we get a transcription, which is what the student would have if they were performing their debate. And then the AI debater will prepare its speech and then make a counter speech. So it takes it, we do a lot of text generation here, so it takes a little bit of time to prepare. And we can see if that's done or not.
We can go back.
Oh yeah, so we will continue our presentation while we...
Okay. So I guess, yeah, to talk a little bit, I think it should be up now. Doesn't take that long for shorter speeches. But to talk a little bit about what we worked on, we were fortunate to have people from all kinds of different backgrounds and contribute to the various parts of the sort of technical stack here. So we have obviously the front end, and in the back end, we have some components. For example, we have this sort of speech to text, which allows for this kind of real-time AI speaking sort of simulation. We have obviously the language model. We're using the sort of GPT, as every sort of GPT wrapper does. But what we do is use this kind of RAG to directly take in the evidence blocks to make reasoned arguments over the evidence in which the person is building their speech from, as a veteran debater would do. They'd inspect the evidence. And we also have various forms of prompting to essentially make it like a particular debater. The one debate framework that we chose to do better prompting is Lincoln-Douglas debate, which is a one-on-one debate. And finally, we'll get the output, and that's going to go ahead and speak back with sort of text-to-speech. And so we can go pop back to the demo. It should be all good now. And you can see that the speech has been generated. And we can play the sound as well.
I stand in negation of the resolution. Resolved. The United States ought to substantially reduce its military presence in the North Africa region. Before proceeding, we must examine the framework presented by the affirmative case. They hinge their argument on justice, which they define as the quality of being fair and reasonable. While this is a commendable value, their approach to achieving justice.
All right, so as you can see, if you've ever done Lincoln-Douglas debate, there are particular flavors of this speech that tells you that, oh, this is written for a Lincoln-Douglas debater. For example, we can see that it, first of all, states that it's a negation of the resolution, making it very clear what the topic is. You can also see that they go and start arguing the framework of the affirmative case and talking about the value of justice. And this is very much in the line of Lincoln-Douglas debate. So let's go back here. We also have another sort of demo with the larger one. Should we present that as well? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just a sort of kind of like a smaller sort of speech that you gave. It's like a paragraph. But in the real sort of scenario, we would go and give an actual full-on speech.
So it's not
I guess he closed it. But even with the sort of going back to the demo, go back. Even with just one paragraph, so let's see if this pulls up. 1 second. Even with just one paragraph, of text, which is not a lot, you can see how it's able to generate through prompting like a very sort of realistic LD style debate. And so that's why we're very sort of excited about this product. And you can see it goes down, and it goes down in a very debate format, talking about various contentions, talking about why it's sort of bad. It says like the resolution pertains to this, not the broader Middle East. And so we really spent a lot of time with prompting to make it very in the flavor of debate. For example, the transitions are in the form of debate. Like moving to the third contention, the affirmative argues that removing U.S. military presence will benefit North Africa without infringing on its sovereignty. Is a speculative claim, right? And at the end, we can see that we go and say, by maintaining a robust and strategic military presence, the United States can contribute to regional stability, secure economic interests, and effectively counter. Therefore, I argue a negative vote to maintain a balanced, pragmatic approach to achieving justice and stability. Thank you. So we're very happy that this product is able to generate a very sort of realistic LD-style debate. We built all this in the span of just a couple of hours, and we're able to effectively kind of break down the components to have this working MVP. But we still had sort of other things that we wanted to sort of get, and if we had some more time, we definitely would do. For example, we would have an easy UI file drag and drop interface to put in all the case files. We would also support multiple rounds. Right now, it generates one sort of response to your speech, but our sort of technology allows for you to add another speech and give a counter to their counter, and it could go and give arguments against your counter to make it like a real sort of full-on round debate. We also have sort of practice mode and simulation mode. Well, we showed you a simulation mode, but we also had sort of with the GPT sort of analysis and critique of your speech, so you can go and improve it. There's also the debate coach, which analyzes weaknesses and can suggest writing improvements if you want to go and fix your speech. And lastly, we built a cross-examination to practice cross-examination questions. We would want to go and build out the UI so we can show that to you guys as well. And so that is our sort of product. This is the team, and we were very happy to go and work on this today. So thank you for your time. All right, any questions?
How does judging happen?
Sorry, one more time?
How does judging happen?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess, you know, that's a great feature. I mean, if an AI is good enough to generate a speech, I'm sure we can prompt it to sort of go and evaluate how good a speech is. Because it seems like, based on the simple prompting we did, it generates a pretty good speech. I think it has an understanding of what better speeches and worse speeches are. So.
There's also
It's a
another
human
model
judges.
that I think NVIDIA released yesterday. That might be, I think, a good use case for this kind of judging.
What is it?
It's like Nemotron. It's used to create synthetic data sets and judging. So I think that might be an interesting use case.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there are no more questions, this is all open source. Our GitHub repo is online, and we hope that we can really share this with all sort of schools, like public schools, you know, let's say well-funded schools, so they can really get a chance to kind of democratize, you know, this exclusive kind of, you know, activity of debate. So yeah, thank you for your time.
That was the AI debate assistant. Up we have Orwell editor. AI writing.
Hi, we built Orwell editor. So it's a text
Silence for Orwell editor.
Yes. So it's a text editor that helps you get better at writing. I built it with Simon Moritz, who's not here, and I'm Daniel. So the general premise for this is that like getting better at writing is getting better at thinking, and it is basically the whole point of an education, and that teaching it requires having students write more, but that is bottlenecked by teachers who need to keep up with it. And like helping beginning writers is really overwhelming because so much is wrong. It's really, and it's also discouraging for beginning writers to see everything like crossed out. So having something to both have like a way to reduce that anxiety on the part of the writer and reduce that bottleneck on the part of the teachers is something that'd be really useful. So we have an editor where you would write with no distraction what you're trying to write about. And then you would work on editing one thing at a time. You wouldn't get everything wrong at the same time. You would look at one specific thing, and it would specifically look at what to fix, and then how to fix it. And you can go one at a time, and hopefully get better. There's a lot that could be done here to really make it immersive and actually make you a better writer, but we think that the general idea of having like a workflow to walk a student through the process of getting to be a better writer, and having that feedback be immediate so that they can write more is, if that can be solved, students could really get better at writing, thus better at thinking and being educated in general. That's what we built.
Can you go back to like one of the edits so we can see the explanation that was given? So it's like the top text is your previous text, the middle one
and how it, what it like.
Is it suggestion, and the last text is like
Yeah.
explanation.
So there's like, we didn't get time to do it, but there's a lot of books on like very specific examples of like, this is good, this is bad, and why, and so on. And we think that, like, we didn't get to it, but having like a workflow of going through those annotated examples, very specific ones, would be better than just having GPT generate an explanation. But we think this is a starting point.
Your UI is beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you intend to deal with cross-passage feedback? So here you use repetition, which is a canonical linguistic device.
Yes.
But the model is plausibly not aware that they're using repetition, and that its advice breaks the repetition.
Right. You could add more context. Like, are you saying how would it detect repetition if it's very, like, it's looking at one thing? Or
Yeah, like it could give you an improvement to this one line, conditioned on the total set of lines as opposed to just that one.
Right, that's a matter of giving it the right context.
Yeah.
So right now we do a particular type of chunking, but you can imagine a smarter way of chunking that would take into account like what would make sense. Like you might want the previous paragraph and the paragraph after it, or maybe if you have something, look at a whole, like what are relevant things to this specific paragraph that we would want to put into context for another process. So there's a lot of way to go about it. The latter thing that I just said would probably what I would do, given that these models have like really long context like so. I would have it try to extract the most relevant things. You could probably give the entire essay, but like I'd probably have it extract the most relevant things to the thing we're trying to fix, the thing we're trying to look at, and then look at it. And that would take care of that repetition example you brought up, I think.
And then I guess another question. So what do you think about the ideal UI? So you could, for example, go through every passage here and automatically give feedback on all of them.
That's not ideal.
Or
I actually don't
in
like
real
automatic.
time as I'm writing, you could tell me like the sentence you just wrote. Here's the response, and generate that automatically.
We actually specifically
or
do not
force
want
the
that.
highlight.
We do not want that. I think it's like quite like shown that having a delineation between the writing and editing process is pretty important. And that's specifically why we had two different modes. That was a decision.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You could even have a video game where every time someone finishes a sentence, you give it a score out of 100.
That's
like
very
number pops up.
distracting and very.
And you're trying to get the highest score possible. Okay.
I would hate that.
Yeah.
When is it like when you highlight something, then is that like when it appears on the right side? Like what triggers it so that it appears on the edit side of the suggestion?
Right, so when you decide to go from writing mode to edit mode, it automatically goes through the entire process and puts everything on a queue. And you're going through the queue one at a time so you're not overwhelmed with like all of the things.
So I see an accept button.
Yes.
Is there like a don't accept?
Yes,
way
we
to-
got rid of it because we didn't get it functioning in time.
Oh, I see. So
you have to accept.
Yes,
Imagine.
unfortunately.
You should have said that. We could have just popped it here, right?
I'm sorry, I forgot.
Okay.
What would be so cool is I remember growing up, my teachers would just mark crap out of my paper, and there would never even be explanation why. And if you could upload this and the text would just be on the screen, and I could go line by line and see exactly why they were upset, that would have been really neat.
Yeah, that kind of made me sad when I was.
Cool. Okay. Anki GPT. The download page. Show us to use AI to create Anki tests. Gist mapper is on deck. May your memory never be the same.
Yeah, so who doesn't know Anki? So everyone knows Anki, so it's like a flashcard software with like a smart algorithm. So it kind of ranks your cards, and the cards that you know like less well, it shows you more often. So you learn the method. Okay, so Anki is like open source, and we built Anki GPT. It's also open source. You can check it on GitHub, and yeah, it's like just a really simple MVP. You can type in like a topic, and then you get like out a CSV file, which you can then import into Anki. So, anyone has a topic?
Nuclear submarines.
Oh, this is so cool. I love the logo. It's now generating a deck. And yet also using a web search result. Maybe you can go more into that.
So at first we started just asking the large language model to now generate a deck without any external knowledge. And then we thought during the process, okay, how can we improve that? And our idea is to do a web search first. So we do a web search about nuclear submarines, take maybe the first few top search results, scrape these web pages, and then add this knowledge to the large language model in the prompt. For example, here it's probably a Wikipedia web page about nuclear submarines, so that the model gets all this knowledge also into the prompt. And the advantage is here that also if you pick a topic that is very recent, let's say from just today or yesterday, and the model has not seen it in its training data, we still can get results if there's a Wikipedia page or some other web page out there.
So as you have maybe seen, you just dragged and dropped that CSV file we got as download into Anki. Then you get like this menu where you can import it, you can put like some extra settings. But then it's importing all these Anki cards, and you have them actually available. Oh. Okay, I think something went wrong. Yeah, no, this shouldn't happen. Okay, I think the format needs to get fixed, but normally it should like import the cards into Anki. Then you have like a front side and a back side. As you can see in this like CSV file, so you see then like what is this nuclear submarine, and then you need to think about in your head like, okay, what's the answer of it, and then you kind of can click to see the solution, and then decide like how well you knew it. And yeah, so to think about like more features on that, like to improve that, you could have like more features to maybe say like how many cards you want in your deck, or to choose like you put one topic and then it selects you like subtopics, so you can select one of these subtopics. And there are like a lot of features more to implement over this MVP. But yeah, it's online on ankigpt.live. After this presentation, I tried to fix the formatting, and it worked before, so it's like, yeah, that's it.
How do you ensure, I saw this going on last card, how do you ensure like diversity of like cards?
Yeah, so currently it's like, it takes as context like a Wikipedia page. So it kind of has like some idea of the topic already by first like training on a lot of data of the internet, but then also on the real life context. But yeah, currently it's like just a few cards, so it's like kind of over the topic. You input like just a broad range, but you can go like really deep into one subtopic to like ensure, okay, I just want to know about this, and then maybe different subtopics. So yeah, this would be also an additional feature to maybe show you like different kind of subtopics, and you can select, I want this, but I maybe don't want to learn about this. So yeah, there are a lot of like more features that could get implemented.
Could have some diversity re-ranking after generating some of these
I'm curious why you don't have the cards right on the website. Does it look like you have an app on the computer that you're uploading it to? Why did you decide to go that route and have an external app that runs this versus just right on the website?
Yeah, so that's Anki, so it's like an open source software, and Anki has like sync, so you can have it across different devices.
Okay.
But like to get the cards into Anki, you need to import them, and if you just have them on the website, then you wouldn't take benefit of the Anki software, because that would be like a different flashcard software, or like I just want to make it like an extension to already existing Anki. Yeah, like Anki has like a really high distribution, so like a lot of people already use it and it's free. So
cool.
Okay. Congrats to Anki GPT.
Thanks.
Gist Mapper. Tell us how to get the gist of books faster. AI generated visual idea maps. On deck, we have Eureka. Eureka. Also, Anki GPT, can you add a project link to the spreadsheet?
Oh yeah.
Alright, take it up.
Alright, so I'm Conrad, and this is Corey. We teamed up today. We met today here, and yeah, we built this like, and like the motivation here is like to speed up learning, so you can like go through books faster. I really love this reading nights that is hosted here, and it's very hard to find time to like read books, and I always download all these PDFs of books, and so this tool is intended to like help you get through like book PDFs faster. So I started with an existing like code base, and I worked on a branch, and then this is like the pull request, so it's like 1,700 lines of code. So it's like bootstrapped on top of like the this page. So so here I'll like demo this. Just go to the demo of like uploading like a book. So I'll do like there's a really good book on the history of transhumanism, and it's actually here on the bookshelf as well. Hopefully this doesn't, actually it was like timing out earlier as like too many requests within an hour for, there it is. So it's using GPT-4 Turbo, and so now it inserts it into the database and then creates embeddings, and does a summary, and then creates a mind map. So the idea here is like it allows you to visualize it, creating a mind map, and then as well as a summary, and breaking it down into like intermediate steps of the summary with images, but I didn't get to the images. So it takes a couple seconds to upload, and in the meantime, like maybe there was a request, there was an error on like too many tokens, but like we have we'll go into like this bit of the slides to talk about this.
Sorry, just to visualize what it looks like, and just thank you for Conrad for taking the rusted code right into the team and help. So just a bit of research on this. So the idea is that you would have the books there, and that you would be able to visualize any book and build a community around a book that has an experience. And just a bit of stats, like clearly we want to go from the book to like something that you can drill down on, and so that's just a visualization we didn't get you, but we'll show you the summaries and how that works. And so the problem we're trying to solve is like reading a traditional book, there's just no time anymore. And there's such beautiful knowledge in books, and like, you know what that's, no time. It's overwhelming when you kind of like read 20 pages and the phone rings and then you read another 100 pages, and before you know it, like you kind of lose the gist of the book, and so you never get through it. And that's like losing context. And for those of you that build up libraries, like Conrad has, like you kind of have this guilt because your friend recommended that you read this book and then you don't read it. So how can you get ahead of the curve? We did a quick little bit of analysis, and by using visual learning, which 65% of people in the world prefer, you can read 5 times more books. Just assuming you're reading 20 minutes a day, you should be able to read 360 books a year, or have the context of 360 books a year versus 80. And so that's a little bit of what we've done. We've done a quick little bit of market analysis. The market is actually very big. This is one of the very few things that combines summarizing a book with making it into a visual diagram, because most people try and build out a visual diagram. So that's just a few little bit of information there. We think there's a pretty big TAM available.
Like there's Blinkist. Does anybody use like Blinkist? Does anybody use any like summarization tools other than like ChatGPT?
20 to 30 million users of Blinkist. Yeah, $4 billion.
Okay, well, it's interesting. Nobody uses any. Yeah.
I've used BART before for summarization.
BART?
Yeah.
There's
Bidirectional automatic transformer.
Right. Well, the business community that uses this and students that don't have time for books is a massive market. I was really surprised how big the market is. And the second biggest is about $30 million of revenue a year at the moment. And Blinkist does also about $30 million of ARR.
Yeah, so actually like the upload didn't throws an error, which didn't actually happen a lot during the development, but this one's like an older version. So in newer versions they are actually smaller, so they're just like subtopics. So it breaks it down from a summary to subtopics, and then for every step it does RAG to come up with like source content to come up with like the next list of subtopics. So it creates this tree of content to like go kind of get it in a different way than just reading it in sequentially. But like for example, like the Ethereum paper shows like the summary, which is like just one like executive summary, and then like a bit of a longer one. And this is using that was done with like LangChain and like the MapReduce method. And then this is like the content, and the content actually was supposed to have like the sources here, but there's some issue there. And then okay, this just has to refresh, but yeah. So yeah, so like the real motivation is like to use AI as like a new medium to make information more like digestible, and like to appeal to like different types of learners, for like visual learners and for like just summarization, and then getting like the content broken down into topics so you can like get an overview of it faster. And then if you want to go like drill down into the content, then you can do that more intentionally. And so this is going by like topics or themes. Another way was to go by like chapters or like sections. So that could have been like, that's also an interesting way, but yeah, that would have like taken a lot more time. And so this was like done this way to like so that it could be done within the day that we had today. So anything else that we covered?
The recursive loops is beautiful because this may actually get you to read books more, because you can, you don't have to read the whole book, you can read the bit that you want to learn. And that's the beauty about the nested queries you wrote for level 0, level 1, and level 2.
So I'd say that table of contents is typically seen as the structure behind a book. How much do you think that you're inverting the table of contents by going from book to content table out and content table?
How much I'm what?
Yeah, to what degree is just Mapper creating a table of contents?
To what degree it's creating it?
Yeah.
It is in a different way, not like through the sequence in the order, but rather it starts with the summary and creates like subtopics, and then for each of those concepts, breaks it down into more subtopics. So it's more about ideas, concepts, breaking them down.
So it does a contextual search for the whole book for whatever the theme is, and then the sub-theme does this contextual search. So what's different to an index is you would have a chronological story, whereas this tries to build a unique context from all the content that's been uploaded to the RAG. And so it is quite different to the index, I would think. It's trying to give you the most knowledge.
And actually the summary is pretty good. For example, the Creative Act explores creativity, copyright protection, and the importance of finding inspiration in art. It emphasizes key elements of creativity such as practice, collaboration, overcoming self-doubt, and maintaining a beginner's mindset. The text promotes self-reflection, adopting beneficial ideas, and exploring new lifestyle to enhance creativity. It highlights the significance of embracing creativity, self-awareness, success, and personal growth in creating authentic art. So I feel like that's journey value right there. For any PDF that you have out there, you can get a summary there really fast. So I would use that myself actually. Yeah.
Two things. One, we were just talking about like research or mind maps, and like it would be cool like to be able to input 2 pieces of text, and then because you said it like branches on concepts, to see like the parallel between the 2 pieces of text context, like really good for research. The second, you mentioned embeddings at some point. How are you using embeddings again to?
So it takes the whole text, chunks it, embeds the chunks into Superbase, AGI vector, and then when you're looking to find a subtopics for each topic at each level, you go take that topic and you find like 7 relevant chunks, and you have that, you reference that in order to find the next list.
Cool. Really cool.
There's an existing tool that does what you don't use.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Up next, we have AGI. They've created a way to explain complex topics with the user's favorite analogies.
Alright, so what we decided to do was AGI, which is a way to break down really complex topics. So the way we started thinking about this is that, Peter's like 12 years old, but he's a very curious 12-year-old. So he says, whoa, what's graph theory? And, well, Peter decides to go online, and yikes, he doesn't really understand how to do this. So our solution is through AGI. So the way it sort of works, just to sort of break it down, is that you put in your preferences, so interests, things that you're really interested in, and then after that, you basically get, you say, hey, I want to learn a topic about graph theory. So what it's going to do is that it's going to take your interest and then sort of create analogies to explain this topic, like sort of decomplexify that topic for you. So yeah, that's sort of what it looks like. I think we have a live demo.
Yep. So the end output, you have like some text as well as a video explanation. Yeah, so just go to the demo first. So let's say you like, I don't know, any suggestions? What are your interests?
Nuclear summaries.
Okay. Nuclear summary. This is going to be interesting. So what do you guys want to learn about?
How many kinds there are?
How many what?
Kinds there are.
how many kinds?
Choose like a complex.
Yeah, like a complex topic that we can
Some
use.
kind of thing you
There's
want
some
to.
names and
Like,
Propulsion. Oh, string theory.
Quantum nuclear bombs.
String theory.
String theory.
Quantum gravity.
That's sorry.
So, I mean, it's just generating a whole video right now, and you can see it's pretty fast. Like, yeah, I think it's done. So we have like a very short explanation of how nuclear submarines can be used as an analogy for understanding string theory. So imagine a nuclear submarine navigating the vast and mysterious depths of the ocean. Just as this powerful vessel explores the unseen world beyond the waves, string theory delves into the hidden dimensions of the universe. ... But the interesting thing is that we also have like a video which is generated along with like narrated explanations.
Imagine a nuclear submarine navigating the vast and mysterious depths of the ocean. Just as this powerful vessel explores the unseen world beneath the waves, string theory delves into the hidden dimensions of the universe. In the same way that a submarine might encounter various marine life forms and underwater landscapes, string theory suggests that there are tiny, vibrating strings at the very heart of all matter, each contributing to the formation of different particles and forces. Just as the submarine's journey is guided by precise navigation systems, string theory relies on complex mathematical frameworks to map out these unseen dimensions, offering us a deeper understanding of the fundamental nature of reality.
Yeah, so that's kind of the overall flow of this. And the way this is working is sort of we sort of gather all of your interests as well as the topic that you're interested in, create an analogy using OpenAI, and those images that you just saw, we already had generated one for this one because it was relatively short, but if it was bigger, you'd have more images through the whole video. We just used like a stock image instead of like trying DALL-E or something like that. We tried DALL-E, the responses that it gave sometimes were not too relevant at all, so we wanted to just use real images. We have a lot of work to do in terms of recommending the best image which describes the concept, but that's the general idea, to just use existing stock images that are of high quality and kind of group together all of these related concepts together for the video. And yeah, we stitched that together with MoviePy, and that's the video.
Wow. Cool. So what does the text-to-speech?
So the text-to-speech model, we just used OpenAI's text-to-speech model for now. Yeah, but alternatives are like DeepGram or ElevenLabs. But yeah, text-to-speech is a pretty expensive process right now. Yeah, any other questions?
What it says internet? What do you do? Like an internet search? And what kind?
This is interest, not internet.
Oh, interest.
Yes. But that would be a possible extension. Basically, the retrieval tools, we could embed this for like custom, I don't know, like if you're using this to understand your textbook, right? You could just import your textbook as PDF and then do this on that. Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot to compare. Like, is the video's transcript the same as the text-generated one?
Yep, that's right. Yeah. So we just use the text and then we just generate the speech. And our idea is to sort of
Semantic chunking.
yeah, do some sort of semantic chunking. So like we know like this group of concepts are like related together, so we can just use one image to explain that. And this whole speech has like timestamps and everything. So that's how we can align the switch between the different images as well. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
Last but not least, Swara on automating code documentation.
Hey everyone, I'm Aishwarya. So for this demo, I was essentially working on trying to see how we can automate writing documentation for code bases. So this is kind of our product right now. We built it such that like for every code base you get like kind of ingest everything about it. So the code, the docs, the issues, the PRs, and we kind of already allow you to ask questions, figure out who did what, and so forth. So for the documentation feature, I didn't kind of get the time to fully integrate it into our existing UI. So I'll just kind of like pull up our collab and kind of walk through what's going on. But essentially we've been working on kind of two parallel features. One is it goes through all the key sections and writes kind of auto-generate summaries for them and then displays them in like a file structure in your, I don't know why this is taking so long. Displays them in a file structure in your, in the website. So yeah, this is, right now it's a collab output, unfortunately. But as you can see, it's essentially just describing all of the main files and sections, and every time you update it, it kind of keeps this up to date. So it's kind of live updating code-based documentation. And we've also recently worked on a feature where it like visualizes it. So the goal is like once we put all this into the UI, it will, for every code base, you can live ask the questions or you can read the docs, as well as kind of pull all the issues and PRs that you're looking at for the code base. So yeah, so just spend a while kind of getting it to go through and like hierarchically figure out all the most important parts of the code base and explain them kind of in markdown format. And then we'll kind of, as I said, combine that with diagrams so you can kind of go through and visualize the entire setup. And yeah, so if you, I mean, right now, as mentioned, it'll probably just be something like on the left where you can kind of pass through all of these files and yeah, kind of part of the features we're adding. Cool.
Does it generate the documentation based on the code?
Yeah, based on the code. Because the idea is we want to be able to, so right now the way the system works is like it tells you when it's been updated. So like every PR you put in, it adds it and like updates the store. So we built it such that the docs will identify what's changed and regenerate the summary. And since it's pulling live every time from the store, it'll kind of like keep the documentation up to date as PRs get added.
Does it take into account functional requirements of the project?
As in?
I mean, the project might have functional requirements. What's the API? And does it look into this functional requirement to create the documentation? How's it covered?
Yeah, so I mean, right now what we're doing is it's kind of, as I said, like hierarchically going through the code. So it will kind of combine different files, understand like what's semantically similar to each other in terms of setting that file structure. But I think that's something we can probably continue to customize. Right now it's really looking through the file structure and like what's important and what's not. So it'll kind of decide what to cover and what not to cover. Yeah, I think the actual like format, like I was looking through some of like handwritten documentation often has like a lot of guides. So sometimes I think we could try to format it where it like gives you an intro, draws a diagram, explains key endpoints, and then maybe gives you like a try it out with and like generates an automatic script at the bottom. So yeah, we can kind of play around with that template.
My one thought about this is like it's really interesting because it basically makes your code base much easier to use for AI agents, like if it's well documented.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing is like have the rest of the product is kind of like asking you questions. You can like try to add features, get recent updates, improve the code base. So like having, it kind of helps with all of that too. The more explanation, reasoning you have, the better the entire thing can perform. Cool. Thank you guys.
Okay. Huge congrats to everyone who built. So that concludes the demos. We have 5 minutes for our judge to determine which of you is worthy of a reward. So, can you take a few moments while we have our judges sign? We'll have announcements right